Firstly, can I say thank you all for coming tonight. I didn't realize it's your opening night, so that's cool. I'm going to talk to you about Flubit. We're very new, but first I just want to get on a tiny bit about who I am. So I thought I'd start with this slide. Now, the reason I've brought this up... Hi, guys.
Come on. It's just the beginning. You haven't missed anything.
Just let people digest that slide. OK, now, I graduated from London South Bank University about 4 years ago now, maybe longer than that. I studied film, and we always had guest lecturers at our universities, and they always came with this sort of attitude, which really, really annoyed me. And I just want to make it clear that my talk to you tonight is not like this. I'm going to give you, how I see it now, my experiences. I'm not going to talk to you how it is in any books. I'm going to talk to you what I saw it as, and it's really completely the opposite from this. I don't know it all. I know what I've experienced, and I know kind of what I'm learning as we go along. So I hope that will be of help to you. I'm sure if there are other guest lectures kind of that take you along over the next few months as this club goes on, then they might be able to give you different experiences, but this is just mine. Just to give you a bit of background, as I say, I graduated, I took a film course. I, up until about 6 months ago, was a film producer for the last 3 years or so. I started up as my own startup before that. We were based in Newbury. And I ran I'd say a reasonably successful film company. And we did video commercials too. We had companies such as Intuit, Coca-Cola Enterprises, Nokia on our books. And we did lots of different commercials for them and internal promotions. I then decided to leave and start up Flubit, and we'll get onto that now. So what is Flubit? It made me laugh when you said we're trying to compete with Groupon, because 3 months ago, that's what I thought. That's what I thought we were doing, that we were competing with Groupon. But in actual fact, I don't think we are. And this is the great thing, and this is the amazing thing about startups. It's what you think you're doing 3 months ago. You turn around and suddenly go, we're not doing any of that at all. It's a completely different positioning. And that's why I've got this little... By the way, I had so much fun using clip art, because I haven't done a presentation for ages. So I just thought I'd go all out with visuals, as you'll see in the next few slides as well. So yeah, we're out to save the world. Obviously, the big pun here being saving. It's very hilarious. That's kind of our mission statement, so to speak. And the idea is we set ourselves out a problem, and the problem to solve is we're gonna do savings. And we're a social marketplace that brings people together so they can buy for cheaper. Now, as soon as you say that, everyone goes, like Groupon. And in a way, there are similarities, I guess. But the interesting thing for us is that's how I pitched it originally. That's how, in my mind, I saw it. I came up with the idea because while I was working at the film company, and this was long before Groupon really took off or anyone really knew about it, especially in this country, I called up and wanted 10 hard drives, and I cheekily asked, can I get a discount because I'm buying 10? And they said yes. And then I thought, well, hold on, if I can do that, then maybe this could be a massive venture. We'll soon need to find out about that, but we'll find out. And the idea is that on our marketplace, people can come along and demand what they want to buy, and then we presume that you're not the only one in the country who wants to buy that laptop. So we push everyone together, and then we manage to contact retailers and get them a discount. So there is elements of group buying, but at the same time, there is this element of a marketplace, which is why I've put Amazon at the end, because they run a marketplace, and they're probably one of the most successful marketplaces. And so we've started off over here, and we've kind of pushed all the way to the right-hand side, and we're still finding where we are 3 months in. All right. So can I kind of show of hands? These who recognizes or reads or these sorts of things up here? Yeah, a good. Which one do you read? TechCrunch. OK, fantastic. We'll see Y Combinator up there, MixG, Mashable, and VentureBeat. Now, these are fantastic blogs to read, and they really show you a lot. But what I want to talk to you about now is kind of my experience in starting Flubit and how you have to kind of look beyond the blog in a way. The biggest thing I find, and when I speak to some of my friends who are entrepreneurs as well, is that, or want to be entrepreneurs, is that they know everything about what's happening in the world in regards to TechCrunch, VentureBeat. They know every interview that's on there. And actually, Adele introduced me to, Adele, by the way, is one of my business partners here. He introduced me to a lot of these. I think they are fantastic, and there's no doubt about that. You learn a lot. But what I also find is that a lot of people who read them suddenly get caught up in the fact that they think that all these people featured on here are a lot better than them, and that these people are in this different dimension where they're exceptionally successful, and they're doing things which you could never achieve. And I think that holds a lot of people back. So I think one of my kind of learnings from starting up this venture is that while it's really important to read and learn, it's also important to do this big message in the bottom, which is do it now. And we actually have, at Flubit, we have our own Flubbilosophy, which is a play on the words of philosophy. And one of them is do it now, because I get really fed up of people saying they're going to do things and never actually getting around to do it. And ultimately, Flubit would have never happened. I had the idea of Flubit for 6 months, and I was comfy and working at my other job. But then it was about getting on and actually doing it, which made it happen. And when you actually get to do it, you have to, so just to give you an example of my personality, I'm teetotal. I hate parties. Compared to my friends, I'm exceptionally probably antisocial, I'd say, in a way. I spend a lot of time on my computer. But what that meant was that I had a lot of time for doing the things. I created my own quote, which is probably really, it's not a great quote to say in public, but weekends are for getting a one-up on the competition, because everyone else is taking a break and relaxing, and you can actually spend it doing stuff. And that's what you need to do. And this is just an example. These are the walls of my apartment where I lived in Newbury, which I was taking all my notes on. And I'm not trying to show off and say I did a lot of work, because there's no doubt everyone who wants to be an entrepreneur focuses on their, on their project, on their venture, thinks theirs is amazing and does a lot of work. But you need to make sure, if you're going to be up there with the people you're reading about on these blogs and those sorts of things, then you need to put the time in. And in a way, that is, when I say that, I guess it's like teaching you to suck eggs, because everyone knows that, but not enough people do it. And then I want to try something eventually about kind of where I was at with with kind of making Flubit work. I did a lot of market research, and have you guys heard of People Per Hour? It's a great place to find people who will do things for cheap because they want to do a few little jobs, or if you're longer term running, want some employees and stuff like that, and it's great. But for example, I employed 3 people just to do a load of market research for me. I couldn't do it because I was working 8 till 8 at my other startup. So they helped me out with doing market research, and it worked really well. So getting other people to help you, and you don't actually have to tell them what you're doing, you just have to give them little tasks. But I need some help. Anyone? You don't know what you're doing yet, so no one's going to volunteer. All right. Could you put those supermarkets at the bottom in order for me? In order. Just say it out loud.
Okay. Waitrose.
Okay.
Tesco.
Okay.
Sainsbury's. Asda.
Yeah. Lidl. Okay. Cool. Okay. Okay. That's great. And then one other person. You there? Okay. Can you put them in order for me? Do you know? Have you heard of them all? Okay. Has anyone heard of them all? Yeah, go for it.
Well, I would say Lidl, Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's, and Waitrose.
Okay. Why did you choose same orders? Why did you choose those?
Cheapest to expensive.
Cheapest to expensive. Okay, fantastic. That's exactly what I was hoping. You could have put them in alphabetical order, or you could have just gone. What's interesting is none of you asked me what order. You both went for, well, I'll stick them in order. And this is my whole point with Flubit, is that and the whole point linking up to these blogs is, you get to a point where you think, there is so much out there, how am I ever going to compete? When in actual fact, you've got 5 very successful supermarkets there, all running in the same industry, all selling food, all doing supermarkets, but at the same time, they all position themselves slightly differently to a slightly different audience. And that's all you have to think about, is can you position yourself to a slightly different audience? And if you can, then you've probably got something that works. All right, cool. I thought I'd be really hippity-hop and use some current events, such as the X Factor. Who's watching the X Factor? Really? Yeah, okay, well, no, me neither. It's pretty rubbish. But anyway, no one watches it, wow. No one wants to admit they're watching it. All right, okay, there's a band on there called The Risk, and I thought what would be really cool is, because this slide is about a risk, I'll take the band from The Risk, but no one knows that, so I've just got 4 guys looking at you. That's cool. All right, so this is the thing about doing a startup that I've learned, is that I was in a job so my other startup was doing you know, it was doing all right. You know, it had a lot of work we could have done on it. But I was comfy. I was getting an annual wage, and I didn't have to worry about it so much. You know, we had to work on the things. I was really comfy, and you know, we had these great clients and stuff. And this was the major problem because I got comfy. Two things happened. One, I felt that my life was going all right, but the other thing was I didn't have anything to, I didn't have the creativity of a startup. Kind of slowly, you suddenly turn into an actual company. And you lose that startup mentality, and that's what happened with the video company I started out with 2 colleagues. Is we got into a stage where we still need to do a lot of work, but we got away from the startup routine. And I think somewhere in the back of my mind, something in my personality said, well, that's not exactly what I want. So my mind started being creative and thinking about what else could happen. And to be perfectly honest, when I went to do Flubit, I never actually thought I was going to be a full-time thing. I thought it was just going to be a side project, which I could do. Like at university, I did a little magazine. But again, it was a side project. It was never meant to be anything big. And I've got to thank Adele for this, actually, because he's the one that really told me about the risk. What I wanted to do was to take a 6-month sabbatical from the video company and start Flubit. And Adele was the one who really said to me, no, you can't do that. And he was absolutely right, because when I left MWS, I was petrified because we'd raised a tiny, tiny bit amount of money, not enough to really last me through till Christmas. And I didn't know where my future was lying. But at the same time, I couldn't fall back on anything because I left, and I left completely. It completely cut all ties, and I couldn't go back. And because of that, I couldn't fall back, and therefore I had to work forward. And this is, I think, the biggest problem, again, with entrepreneurs. If you have that side job, which you're always relaxing, it can get you through, you don't take that risk, and you have to have the risk. You have to have the opportunity to completely fail. And if you don't have the opportunity to completely fail, at least in my experience, then you're not going to give yourself 100% of the effort you need, because 10% of you will always think, well, it's okay, because if I fail, I can always go back to my job here and there, or something like that. Now, obviously, I know there is a fine line between being able to actually live and that, but you have to make sure you put yourself on that pedestal and actually give yourself that chance to fail. If you don't give yourself that chance to fail, you won't succeed.